This is You Are On Talent. Welcome to Talent. We're doing an episode with moms where we just having a conversation and um now in this episode we're gonna talk about some stuff. I'm gonna allow her to introduce herself and everything, and we're gonna go ahead and unpack some stuff. Now everything is not gonna be able to be unpacked in this one episode. I'm letting you know that right now because there's so much to cover and so much to talk about. But we gonna get there. So this is our introduction. You get to meet my mom. This is my mother, okay? And so I'm gonna let her be the one that's really speaking today. So, anyways, hi, mom. It's a grateful to be able to have you on here, and so that you can be able to talk to people because, as you know, um, you got a heck of a story, you know, and so. But nonetheless, God is good.
Yes, He is.
So it's some people out there you don't know who could be dealing with or have went through the same things you done been through, with your kids, with your family, and just life be lifing, so I want you to go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself, about your family, your kids, and you know what I'm saying, let them know a little bit, and then we'll go in and move on from there. Let's go ahead.
All right. Well, first of all, hello, everybody. My name is Gwen, the mother of 8 kids, 2 sets of twins, 23 grandkids, and 3 on the way.
Okay.
2 on the way. One was born yesterday.
Right on. No addition. We add additions to the family. It don't stop.
Yes.
Right. So today, I wanted to bring the attention to Michael. Now let them know who Michael is.
Michael's my oldest son.
Okay, and my oldest brother. Okay, so now, would you say that we have, or it's been a bit of a cycle with, like the kids going in and out of jail?
Yes. Yes, it has.
And who was the first one to where, you kind of experienced that with? Like, kind of tell us a little bit about your first, let them, I want them to hear the story, you know what I'm saying, with Michael. So kind of like talk about like that when you had him from the beginning, information I don't even know. So kind of like tell them from like the beginning of with Michael.
So yeah, Michael's my first son, the oldest out of 8. I had him in 82. He was
How old were you?
18.
18.
18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
18.
Michael, where you was staying at?
At the time I was staying with my mom. No, that's not true. I had my own place. I lived on 57th and Broadway.
Oh.
57th and Broadway.
Okay.
So when I came home from the hospital, that's where we went. My first place, yes.
Oh, that was your first place from moving out with grandma?
With mama, yes.
Oh, okay.
My very first place.
Okay, so Michael coming up now. Michael, you was the first. So Michael coming up, like what type of, we're going to jump to a little bit to his older years when he started to be able to we could go from middle school, high school, more like, older years.
Okay.
Like what type of kid would you say, like how was it having your first, like what type of relationship did you have with your firstborn? Like,
He was a good kid. He was growing up. Michael was always sweet. Always, he just had a lot of energy. Stayed busy. Michael was good at whatever he touched.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he played, whatever he did, Michael kept a smile on his face. He was a beautiful soul. Is a beautiful soul, I should say.
Mm-hmm. What was his sport?
His sport was basketball.
Basketball.
His sport was basketball.
Oh, he used to play down there at the YMCA, right?
Yes, at the YMCA. We used to go and watch him play there. Yes. And I wish that if I knew what I know now, things would I would know better and know how to handle him.
So you feel like you kind of gave him a lot of freedom?
Well, I didn't. He was into basketball, and I got him in there to play, but I didn't stay on it. Like stay behind him. I think he stopped playing. Don't remember the reason. Uh, but then we moved from LA to Palmdale in '86, and my father passed away, and my mom was at home by herself.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want her to be, So
But at this time, Michael wasn't the only kid.
No, Michael wasn't the only kid. It was Marquis. I don't think 82, 86. We moved there in '86. No, he wasn't the only child. It was.
So by this time, you saying we didn't already move to Palmdale?
Yes, we didn't already move to Palmdale.
So no, because I was born in.
Right.
By then,
right.
Nene, the baby Nene was the only one. She was barely born, as a matter of fact.
Well, she started walking in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so Michael wasn't the only child, but he was the oldest. And then you said Papa had died at this time?
Yeah, and my mom lived in LA, so yeah, he passed away, and after he passed away, I didn't want Mama by herself,
Right.
So I sent Michael out there.
So you sent Michael, okay, so because we kind of jumped, and I want to...
Yeah, we sure did.
It's okay though,
did.
because I want to go back to, so after Broadway, I know that Michael got into basketball and everything like that. So eventually, some years later, years on down the line, you end up moving.
Before I moved to Palmdale, I moved on 82nd and between Vermont and Hoover.
Right.
I think it's Vermont and Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
Down the street from the post office.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I moved over there to a house with you guys, and that's where.
So you moved like in a 8-tray Hoovers.
Yes, I did.
You moved right into the 8-tray Hoovers.
Yes.
And so, Michael, was he hanging out with people there? Like, how was he?
He was hanging out. He was hanging out. Like I said, Michael had a lot of energy. Michael should have stayed in basketball. If I hadn't known, I just didn't know as a young mother, and I was with you guys' father.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a provider, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
He was a provider, but he really wasn't the kind of man that that kind of stayed with the kids. You know what I mean? Like the
Mm-hmm.
boys need a man to kind of guide them, and kind of show them the ropes, and
Wait, what? At that point, at that time, did Michael did he get with the guys to where you felt like he was about to start gang banging, or how did that kind of come about?
I didn't feel like that, but that's what it was, because I didn't know anything about the gang. Mm-hmm. I wasn't never a gangbanger, so I didn't really know about the gangs now, and your dad didn't either.
And this was what year again?
I don't know, Crystal. I moved into Palmdale in '86, so this must have been...
96. We moved to Palmdale in 96.
No.
Palmdale.
96, yeah. I moved to Palmdale in '96.
So by over there, Michael was already born. We were there as well, so this had to be in the...
This had to be... You guys were little.
We was young.
Yeah,
we
you
was
guys
little.
were young, so... Michael was what? About teenager?
Michael had to be a teenager at least.
Beginning teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Teenager, yeah.
So he met. Okay, did he eventually start bringing friends home? Like what did?
Yeah, he started bringing friends home. Well, I always preferred for you guys to bring your friends home instead of you guys being out.
Mm-hmm.
I never had problems with Michael, you guys at home. It was never, you guys were always respectful and did what I asked you to do. I never, of course, kids talk back. Why I got to do the dishes? It's not my turn.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff happened. But
Uh-huh.
far as, them not listening to me or doing, if I tell them something, they just not doing it. I really don't know what that's like. But yeah, Michael got himself out there, and he came. I remember him coming home one day, and he had been into a fight, and he told me that some guys jumped on him, but I didn't know. That's what I'm thinking. So of course I get in the car. I'm looking for him. I'm looking for who jumped on my son.
Right.
Come to find out later on that Michael had joined the game.
Right, so you went out there looking and
I went
found
out there
nobody.
looking. Michael knew I wasn't gonna find whoever it was. He was in the
He
car.
was in the
with-
car with dirty. Oh,
He was in the car with me. So we looking. I'm looking. I don't know. I'm like, what he at? What he at? And he telling me turn down this street, turn down, and
Oh.
didn't find nobody. So come to find out, that's what happened. He had joined the Hoovers.
So what did you do? You heard about it?
I
Like
heard.
You
Later
heard.
on, I heard. I still didn't know right then and there.
Okay.
But I heard later that's what had happened. So I called myself. This is when I left. I didn't leave right away, but I left, calling myself, getting my kids out of there.
So from that period of time, before we actually left to go to Palmdale, Michael started gang banging. Was it some years in between that movement, the move? Oh,
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about why he was out there, like what type of guy he had become, like how.
Well, right then and there, he was still a kid.
Okay.
I mean, early teens, if that. But he was up there, 12, 11, 13, somewhere like that. I can't remember the exact age. But, so he wasn't out there.
Okay.
Like, he wasn't active or he wasn't doing anything like that. He was just, he had joined.
Okay.
So that's how that went.
So like, did he start staying out? Was he start his behavior? Never. He's the same program.
No, he went to school.
Okay.
Came home. I don't remember going out looking for him at that time. Like it wasn't like that.
Okay.
He just had joined the gang.
Okay.
Him and his friends would get together. They would hang on the block, or they would go over in the daytime if they went to another friend's house or something like that. But for us, me not knowing where he was or couldn't put my hands on him, that never happened.
Right, and then you didn't have to go far to hang out because you live right in.
I live right there. Everybody was right there.
Everybody was
and
right
everybody
there.
was coming to the house, which I heard, So yeah, but
So did you ask him, like, so you banging? Like, did you ask him?
No, because I didn't know then.
When you found out?
When I found out, yeah, but that was like a while before I found out.
It was, but did you ever address him?
I'm sure I did. It's been a long time,
Yeah.
you guys. It's been a long time, but I'm sure I did and talked to him, and he told me no, of course. I mean, so it went no further.
Okay.
Then, eventually I left and moved to Palmdale.
So you moved.
And that was in 86.
Okay, so.
I mean, 96.
So, okay, 96. So you left and you moved to Palmdale. Now, at that time you left, okay, and then you told us throughout some time Papa had passed away. Grandma was there by herself, and you wanted basically Michael to go and, live with her. Now, at this time, Michael is gay banging, so you sending him back to be there, you basically leaving him to be fully active in his,
But he wasn't, so he wasn't active when we was on 82nd.
Right.
He wasn't active because I wouldn't have sent him back. I heard later that he had joined the gang, but it wasn't like...
You just didn't think.
I just didn't think it was going to be like it was. Ended up being, so we moved to Palmdale. My dad passed away. My mom was there by herself. So I allowed Michael to go back to be with her, check in school and let him. As a matter of fact, I don't know if she asked me or I just told him, I want you to go and be with your grandma. I don't want her by herself. I don't remember how that went, but he did. He went. Okay. And eventually I started getting calls from Mama that Michael was doing this, and he was hanging out, and he, just doing stuff that he wasn't doing in the beginning.
And he was kind of growing up at this
growing
time.
Up. He was growing up, so he was becoming active. I would say. I would say. Had my mom following the helicopters. It started when my mom would hear the helicopters, and she would get in her car and follow where they was going, or hear the ambulance or the police. My mom was getting in the car, following where they were going around it to make sure it wasn't Michael. Yeah, so Michael never did anything at home. Stayed very respectful, did what you asked him to do, but when he got out there in the street, he was a different person, so that's how that was.
Right. So now now you hearing about this stuff, so you kind of aware of like, okay, Michael is, like he's growing up, he active out there in the streets, and I'm hearing different stories of, my kid basically that I was never hearing before, and so it seemed like I kind of basically put him out there. Like, you feel like you just left him, and okay, so is there any and your okay, so from there was he still, you said he was in school, was he still playing basketball?
No.
So he had stopped playing basketball.
No, wait. Okay. I don't know but my mom was continuing to take him to play, but it ended. However, it ended. The basketball thing ended. And he, like I said, got active out there in the streets. Started coming home late and stuff like that. So I was calling him and talking to him and telling him, "You gonna come home and I'm gonna come and get you." And he was, "No, Ma, I'm gonna do right."
And when you said come home, meaning you coming back to Palmdale?
Come back to Palmdale.
And he like, no.
And my mama didn't want him to. I gotta go in, I can't. But she started calling me.
Right.
Wanting him there with her, but I gotta go in. But then calling me, the ambulance, I'm getting in the car to go see if that's him. You know what I'm saying? So that was bothering me. Because now he was worrying us. Yeah, he was worrying us. I will say that if I had it to do all over again, and if it's any parent out there that is listening, and you have a child who is good in sports, or it's something that they really like doing, keep them in it. If you don't keep your kids active in some kind of sports, the streets will get them. And that's what happened to Michael. The streets got him. Now he is locked up. I don't like to use the L word because I'm a believer. I believe that God does everything for a reason.
What you said? Okay, now you telling them about him being locked up. What kind of transpired to him going to jail? Like, how did he get from where he was to this? Like, and was this his first time in jail? Like,
no. Oh, well, I think Michael had been to jail once, but it wasn't really nothing serious. It wasn't anything serious. So he got out.
And that was what, juvenile hall?
It was juvenile, yes. He went to juvenile hall for a little while. Then he got out, and I think Michael was 18, 19, something like that, where he caught was it 18, 19? Yeah, it was young. Where he caught a murder case. He caught a murder case, so that's when.
Well, what were they saying that he did?
They said that he killed an armor truck driver. That a bank was robbed. And he killed the armor truck driver, and that's what he's in jail for right now.
So basically, this was like a first time thing.
Yeah, his first big, you know, it ain't like he was back and forth in jail.
Well, I mean, they basically saying that he robbed a bank.
They said he robbed a bank.
So I'm saying, is this, have you ever heard anything like that?
No, I had never heard of him doing anything like that before.
There was, okay.
No, I had never heard of him doing anything like that before. So when I heard this, you know, of course I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, you know, Michael, what you mean, robbing what? So yeah, so that's what he's been accused of.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't like to use the L word because, like I said, I'm a believer, and I believe, and I thank God still today from him removing my son off the street, because he has told me himself that if God didn't move him, that he would have been dead, because he was out there like that.
So you feel like, you know, because unfortunately, some people that has walked the same shoes that Michael has walked, you know, they didn't make it.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like they yes. didn't make it. You know, and I mean, like, they got killed. So, and others who didn't walk the same path, such as Michael, ended up in jail.
Yeah.
So, you know, comparing the two, because you have some others that's in your same walking your same shoes, but unfortunately, their son may have gotten killed, and yours landed in jail. And you say that it's a blessing. You still will count your blessings with this one because
yes,
of what?
Definitely. I'm going to count my blessings because, first of all, he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Is he locked up? Yes. But I can still hear his voice. I can still go and visit. I can still see him. So it's a blessing. You know, if he stayed out here in the streets doing what he was doing, it was just a matter of time. You know, that something was going to happen to him. So God just removed him. Michael, it would give you the shirt off his back. Very giving, very kind, loving heart. So yeah, that's what happened with Michael.
So you would consider him, well, yeah, Michael was a cool dude, just not one to be messed with.
He is.
You know.
Yes.
And so around the time that Michael ended up getting locked up, because they say that he robbed a bank, he killed the armor truck driver or whatever. How did that go with him being locked up? Like, how did they even get him?
They got him. He went to go check in with he was on probation. He was on probation, and he had to go check in.
Mm-hmm.
So when he went to go check in, that's when they grabbed him. Well, they tried to grab. Well, they did grab him after he ran and jumped and hopped and tried to get away. They caught him, and so that's how he got caught. That's when he got caught.
Oh, so he was basically at the parole office,
yes,
or probation office.
One of them parole.
Yeah. And they basically already had something up on him.
Yes.
And
yes,
most likely with something he didn't even know about. Cause
yeah, right.
That had to be the worst place to go. And then it was just like, oh, he here. You know, the probation parole officers, they got to stick together.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just an unfortunate thing, basically. So they just got him after that. So when did you get the call that Michael was even locked up? Or how did you even find out? If you didn't even get a call from them, how did you find out?
My mom.
So Grandma knew.
She called me and told me.
Grandma was the first person. Grandma, this was like Grandma's son, a son that she never had.
That she never had.
So Grandma was the first on the scene, and
yeah.
God
Michael, as a matter of fact, she's the one that took him to the parole.
Oh Lord, so she
was sitting in the parking lot, and I think she saw him running, like trying to get away, and they, of course, surrounded him. They got him, but yeah, he was doing some running and hopping, she said. So you could imagine how his heart was going.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
So they got him. So he in there, And at this time, he go when he get locked up. Now, was when did you get the information about like how much time he was facing? About
Well,
what was they saying?
I didn't go because I didn't want to hear because I was hearing through time. I think I went a couple of times, but then after they came up with the L thing, that kind of got me in a
And when
sad.
you say L, I mean, I know that you don't want to, speak that and put that out there. But see, we know the works of God, so we're gonna allow it because you may be speaking to some people who don't know what it means. So I just want you
Okay.
to just go ahead and just elaborate. What does the L word mean?
Okay, life. They
Okay.
they gave him life. The courts, the judge, they gave him life. I don't like to use the word life because God has the last say.
Mhm.
So I believe that um, God is preparing him, to come home with his family, uh, and I'm going to always believe that. So, but that's how that went.
And so I remember, they was trying to give Michael the death penalty.
Yeah, that went away.
So, like,
I
kind of,
didn't.
all right, walk us through the feeling of that, though. I just want to, for a second, unfortunately, I want you to live in that moment because the reason is because, again, you don't know who's out there, who's going through this, and we just basically, we done made it past it. So,
Yeah.
but I want you to take yourself back to that moment because that was a real moment. As the mother, as that being your oldest child, that had to have been something.
Oh, it was
So I want you to walk
definitely.
us through in your mind. Just remember the first time you heard it. Just remember the way you felt. What did you
It
do
was
about
it was
it?
devastating, but I am going to let you know that I can I can talk to you about that moment. But the pain that I felt is I can't go back. I can't feel that way anymore. I brought myself out. God has helped me come out of that space. But I can't tell you that
Was you in some type of like depression?
depression. I was working for the Palmdale School District. I found myself just locking myself in the room, um, not wanting to be bothered. It was my first child. My mind wasn't where it's at now. I was, you telling me you taking my son's life. You're trying to what? Kill him? Death penalty? I didn't understand any of that. Like, what you mean kill him? What you mean death penalty? So yeah, that was before they dropped it and gave him.
But throughout that time, like, what do you remember what you had the family do? Like, what was the conversation surrounding that? Like, what was it that you was, you know what I'm
Well, it
saying?
was uplifting each other. Everybody was supporting each other to stay strong because fasting. We had to get together and fast. We got together. We had to pray. It was a constant. It was a long journey. A long journey. But if anybody's out there that is going through it, trust and believe. Keep your kids active. Keep them off the street. Keep them off the street. Keep them involved in something. Um, that was a horrible, horrible feeling for our family to go through. Um, we prayed, um, uh, fast. Man, that was something. That was really something to go through.
So, did you ever go to any of the court dates? Okay.
Yeah, I went to a couple. I stopped going because it would just bring me down too much. After I left, I couldn't think. My whole day was wrapped around what they had put in my head.
I almost felt heartbroken.
It was
Like,
very, 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 very heartbreaking. So I had to dismiss myself from going to court.
okay.
I would hear what happened, and I got to the point where I decided to just stand on God, stand on the word, And as I had other kids that got involved and started going to jail, Jessica, which is my oldest daughter, who's incarcerated right now. She's in the penitentiary. Um, she's in there for murder. Um, so God has always had His hands on my family. Even though they're locked up, they're still alive. I still can talk to them, hear from them, visit. So I'm not sad in any way about that. But when it came to Jessica, it was the same thing. I think after Jessica is when I really got myself um, positioned in really knowing that I needed to lean on God and leave everything there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if not, I was going down. I was going to go down. I was going down into depression, sadness. I didn't go to work for a few days, and this was with both of my kids. Now, Jessica also, they gave life to.
But see, I don't want you to talk about that yet because
Okay.
as I was telling you, it's a lot to unpack.
Yes,
And I want
it
to
is.
unpack it all.
It is.
But I want to give room for each child slash
Okay.
sibling to have their own space because
Okay.
the story is it gotta be told, you know. So I want to take it back to to the death penalty time. Okay, so you explained to us how devastating everything that you
Yeah.
were, and that is a very more than understandable feeling that people could take to, but with him, making it past that, like, so, and I know you said that I remember, yes, you had the family doing fasting and everything like that, and you just, like, basically it's nothing else to do but to just lean on God at this point.
That's it.
And so, like,
Or lose your mind.
or lose, so he was basically going through trial
Yes.
at the, with these sins, but facing life, the death
Yes.
penalty, and whatever else charges
Yes.
that they was trying to put on him. So tell us, at the sentencing, how did that go?
Well, it didn't
I
go.
mean, not necessarily sentencing. Like when the trial was over, and I know that he was facing certain charges. Tell us about what actually stuck, what didn't stick, what did he actually get versus what they was trying to give him. Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, listen. First of all, let me say this. I don't remember a lot about that. To be honest, I just know that they dropped the death penalty. I remember they dropped the death penalty and gave him life.
And how did you feel about that?
It was devastating to me. It was all devastating.
And no comparison to that death penalty being dropped. I mean, yeah, he got life.
Still life. So at that time, I wasn't where I'm at now. So life was life. Like, I'm thinking he's never going to get out. He's never going to get out. So it was. I just cried. I cried every day, all day. And there was no other way to feel. Like, how could you feel this and your son is not ever coming back home again? This is what they're telling you. So.
And as a mom, like, what type of feelings did you have? Like, did you regret things? Did you wish
Yes,
that?
I did. Yes, I did. I felt like it was my fault.
Why?
Because, like I'm telling the people, if you don't keep your son involved, if I had kept Michael involved in the basketball,
But you didn't know.
I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have anybody to tell me. I didn't have anybody to tell me.
So when you sent them back, you feel like you basically sent them to the wolves.
Yes, I did. I sent him to the world. I sent him to the world to be destroyed.
So you feel like he was destroyed.
I don't feel like that now.
But then
I felt, yes, I did. I felt like I had messed him up because I feel like I didn't stick behind him. I wasn't by his side like I should have been. I just let him go. I let him go. And if I had kept him in basketball, went to the games, make sure Michael would have went. Your kids do, as being young, they do what you tell them to do, how you tell them to do it. But once they feel like nobody is there, then they do what they want to do. And that's how that goes. So, and that's what happened with Michael. Michael had family. It's not that we wasn't there, but what's the difference in being there and not doing what you're supposed to do, which is, guiding and leading your child in the right way. You know, it's very important to be there and to know where your kid is at each and every moment. So, yeah, that's what it is. They dropped it down from the death penalty to life. And so that's what he's facing now.
Do you remember, like, did Michael call you? Do you remember any conversation that you had with him around that time?
He was just sorry. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry to take you through this. I'm sorry. I heard, because I wasn't there, that he kind of acted up, so it was devastating to him also that he kind of acted up in court. He kind of lost it in court when they told me he had life. He lost it, so I didn't go because it just.
And when he told you, he was just like, I'm sorry. Like, he was like sad himself? He was down.
Yeah, he was really down, of course. Yeah, he was calling me and just saying how sorry he was.
And what did you say?
I just, and of course, told him I wish he had to listen. Because of course I was calling him. My mom was calling me. I was calling him, talking to him, threatening him, telling him what I was going to do. But I think I did go and get him a couple of times. And then he, of course, my mama wanted him back, and with her, and he wanted to go back. So I let him go back again. It was just.
It was your first child. I mean.
Yeah, it was my first child, and I let him kind of loose. I would say I let him loose because I didn't keep him focused. I didn't keep him focused. So.
And now, Michael in there, and he's having to deal with what he's having to deal with, and and how often, you would say you communicate with him now, like what's going on?
He calls. He's always been a uppity, happy, smiley person. He's just a very positive person. Whenever he do call, we get a chance to talk to him. He's a very positive person. He, instead of you uplifting him, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
It's
right.
the opposite. It's like, wait a minute here. I was supposed to be, Ma, I'm going to be home, Ma. I'm going to be home, Ma. Everything is going to be okay. Ma, don't want you worrying. He called, he gave me books to read. Ma, you need to keep your brain active, Ma. And yeah.
And I forgot to mention, before Michael, of course, he got locked up. He had some kids.
Yeah. Michael was married to Renita, and they have Michael Jr. and Michaela. And then Renita the oldest had a daughter already, which is Tanaya, which of course we took in as our own. Tanaya is one of the grandkids. So it's the oldest Tanaya. Michael was Michael, Tanaya, Michaela, and then did I say that right?
Yeah.
Tanaya, Michaela, and Michael.
And
Michael Jr. Yeah.
So he got his kids, and that's just a lot. You going through facing them circumstances, and you basically like leaving kids behind.
Yeah.
and everything. And I know that that's not an easy thing, of course. And I'm speaking on his
Yeah.
his behalf.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine and stuff. So you say you letting them know you still talk to him and stuff and everything, and like you said, it's more of a he's uplifting you
Yeah.
versus you having to uplift him, which is a benefit.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
that is absolutely a benefit. And today, would you say that you still do you harbor any regret today? I'm speaking of. I
Oh,
know.
well, yeah, well, Michael being my first, because I know that things could have been different if I had known what to do. Things could have been, Michael was young, so Michael would have did what I told him to do. He would have did, you have to catch them young. You can't catch them when they in their 20s or.
But you give right to mothers that blame themselves and again, so you don't feel like you did all you could have did.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Because I could have did more if I had have known better. I didn't know any better, so I couldn't do better because I didn't know, so that's how that goes. But you have to catch them young. When they grow up, it's almost, when they start doing what they're doing, it's kind of tough to catch a hold of them and then bring them back.
Would you say you think Michael influenced anybody else? Like I'm talking for his siblings.
Well, they looked up to Michael, his sisters, brothers. They looked up to Michael. Marquis is my second child. Marquis wasn't interested at all in gangbanging. So he didn't follow that.
Michael used to have Kiki up there fight.
Yeah, yeah, he used to, because he wanted him to learn how to fight. I remember a story that Kiki told me about Michael having him out there. I don't know, he was fighting somebody, one of Michael's homeboys, I believe it was. And I think Kiki thought that he was getting beat up, and Michael didn't jump in to help him. Michael just stood there, so you better get him, you better get him. And the dude all on top of Kiki. But they could tell that story. They can tell it better. Yeah, Michael wanted his brothers, he wanted them to know after, I guess he had got out there, found out a little bit about the world. He was trying to teach them how to handle the world, or how to be. So, yeah.
And like, how did you feel about all that?
Well, of course, I thought he was too young. Yeah, I thought he was too young to get married. Let me see. I don't remember that. I don't remember the age they got married, but yeah, they were young. They were young.
They were young.
They were young.
And he started. So you met Renita, of course. And what did you think about her?
Renita was okay until I think she got mad with the family, or I would say got mad with me, because she said that I allowed Michael to have girls at the house. Yeah.
Michael used to come down from LA with her.
Yeah, they would come from LA, and Michael, it was like that. It was like they would come like they was around the corner. Michael come in hugging everybody and say bye to everybody at the same time. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, you just got here. Yeah, Ma, I gotta go. He was just
fast.
man. Oh, you talk about energy, that fast lane. Oh my God, yeah. He was in the fast lane.
He was in the fast lane for real.
He was. Yeah, he would come down just to say hi from LA. Come to Palmdale, say hi, hug everybody, and walk right out the door and stand by. Say, I'll see y'all later. Yeah, just like that. Just like that.
Oh, Michael. So he was, and you said you do feel like he was that he influenced, or that he influenced some of the other kids.
Yeah.
You do feel like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I do. His sister and his brothers. Marquis was the only one that didn't. He just wasn't into it. He just wasn't into it.
Okay. Well, and so you recently talked to Michael.
Yeah, I recently talked to Michael.
And how was he?
My son is, he don't sound like himself.
And you mean like, okay, he don't sound like himself. Like, so how, what did he say?
He's just not the uppity, energized.
He called you?
Well, lately, Michael had been calling. They've been moving him to different places, and he was calling at one time, and then it stops, and then he'll call maybe a week. Like he could call every other day, and then it stops. So I guess that's just he's the feds have him, so the feds. So I guess that's how it runs. But I hadn't heard from him in like some time, some months.
Right, but the recent call, excuse me, the recent call that you had was basically, how did he call you? Is what I'm asking.
That's what I'm leading up to.
Okay.
I hadn't heard from him in like 4 to 6 months. The family hadn't. My mom wrote a letter, and the letter came back. So I called and spoke to. I got a number to his counselor.
Okay. Which is somebody at the prison.
Which is somebody at the prison. I called the prison. They gave me a number to the counselor, and.
But what made you call?
Because I hadn't talked to him. I haven't talked to him, and then my mom told me that she sent a letter and it came back. So now I'm like, where is he?
So you haven't heard from him. So so you was calling up there to check, on him or whatever, because it was some created an urgency for you.
Yeah. So what happened was we was getting these weird texts. Well, we thought they were weird messages saying, my daughter got one, Ralitha, got a text message saying, I need money. And then so she texts back and said, well, the text message said, Michael needs money. Or, hey sis, I don't know.
She said, if this is my brother, what's my middle name?
Yes, she said, if this is my brother saying this, what is my middle name? And then the text came back, just send the money. So of course we like, oh no, that ain't Michael. Mm-hmm. Michael and whoever this is don't know that he's talking like this. Mm-hmm. So and I also got a text that said need money. So I decided, let me see what's going on. So I called up there to the prison, and I spoke to someone, and they gave me his counselor's number. So I called the counselor, and I didn't know it was going to go that easy, but it was very smooth. I got in contact with the counselor. I told the counselor that I hadn't heard from him in 4 to 6 months. And my mom had sent a letter, and the letter came back. And so I said that I'm concerned on his well-being. Can somebody check on him? And he said, well, it looks like he's in general population, and so, which is a good thing. But I still want to know, I said, when is the last time that you seen him? He said, just a couple of days ago. I said, so he's okay? And he told me, yeah. He said, well, what I will do is have him call you. The next 10 minutes, I got a call from Michael. What
did Michael say?
He was just not, it didn't sound like himself.
Well, what did he sound like?
He just said, hey, Ma, he told me you called. I love you. How are you doing? How's the family?
And he sounded dry, just like that.
He sounded really dry. You don't feel or hear none of the energy, none of the, he was still uplifting. but he was still speaking, uplifting, uh, uplifting me, reassuring me that I'll be home, I'll be home. But you could just hear the dryness. It was just really dry.
Right.
And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm okay." He said, "I text you guys so that you guys know that I needed some money." I said, "Oh, that was you. We didn't know. We wasn't for sure." And he just told me, anytime that you get a text, it is from me.
Okay.
So that let us know that it was him. But we
Okay.
just talked a few minutes. He told me that he had to go, but he wanted to let me know that he was okay.
And now with Michael, because as you know before, like you was telling him, like, you know, Michael was fully energetic and just on go type of person. You know, I know the story of the depths of, you know, kind of like the journey of while Michael's behind bars. Is, you know, a total different story that, you know, I know that you don't know a lot, and better to tell that, you know, because he also had Kristen. He was locked up with him, so he could tell that story a little bit about what type of person it was. In the beginning, unfortunately, even Pops. Huh. Even Pops. And, but like, what type of things
Yeah.
did you hear? Um, like Michael, like, so you saying, like, basically, you letting them know it was just a switch in Michael.
Yeah.
Like, he went from this super energetic to just not seeming like himself.
Right. Not seeing himself.
You know?
He wasn't
Was he
himself.
on meds or?
You know what? I can't say. I don't really know. But
You ain't
I
heard
think,
nothing? Like, I know, like, was Michael, like, you know, in a hole a lot? Like,
yeah,
what, like,
I think he did whole time a year, wasn't
a
it?
year and a
A year.
hole?
I believe he did a year and a hole. It might have been more, but I know he did a lot of time in the hole. Yeah.
And you didn't hear it for what?
I didn't hear from him from a long time. For a
You didn't
long
hear it
time.
from what? Like, why he was in a hole and things like that. He was just on the road doing, you know, just doing the time the way the time come. Yeah, unfortunately. So, again, I want to thank you, and I want you to send us out with a message. Send us out with a message.
Family matters. It takes a village to raise kids, but it takes the right village. Stay involved with your kids. Keep them in. If they're good in something, put them in. If they keep them active, keep them off the street. If you don't, the streets will get them. Um, uh, Families need to stick together. Stick together. Help raise your family members, the little ones, the uncles, the aunties. They are looking at you guys. They are looking at you as an example, as somebody to be like. So however you are in your home, that's what your kids are. So just be mindful of the things that you do around your kids, how you act around your kids. However you want them to be, you have to be. You have to be that example. It's very, very important, because when kids are not involved or active and the streets get them, it can be a disaster. It can be a disaster. It can either be death or jail. So that is my message for parents, for families to stick together. Prayer, prayer, pray, pray. God can do it. God can do anything but fail. I'm a witness. I know. And I'm here to tell you, if you believe in God, if you pray for your kids, pray for your kids. Get your kids involved and you all pray together. God say, well, one or two are gathered, he's right there. So get your kids together, guide them, lead them in the right direction. We have enough. You see how the world is going. So parents need to get on their jobs and just stay focused, stay focused, stay focused.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was very much so needed, you know. And again, I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for tuning in again. Okay, you on Talent. I'm your host KG Lavancy. Y'all have a good one.